Welcome everybody. 皆さんようこそ。今、ギリシャの美術を作っています。古いギリシャ。今回はこのジャケットと多分腕を作る。始めましょう。Let's get it started. We're gonna start it out with this belt thing that I added. Most of his costume design is from a piece where Heracles is fighting the Titans, I think. I think it's the part of Greek mythology when Heracles helps the gods to take down the Titans. But we kind of added our own touches to this and gave him some different armor pieces and made it into Philoctetes for our picture. Oh, right, I remember this. So it's like two directions. Okay, let's get rid of the guides for this part because we don't need a guide. It's just screwing us up. I just ate some Chipotle that I put Carolina Reaper powder onto. Now my nose is running again, of course. Every time I do an art stream, it seems like I end up with a runny nose. Although this time I certainly did it to myself. All right, good. Stand by for 1 second. All right, so we want to put the guides back on. And what's on the topmost plane? I guess it's his arrow belt thing. Now for this thing, we're gonna kind of define what it is or what's happening with it, because we had a few conflicting ideas when we were sketching it out. Yeah, what if we just put this circle here? And we had this connect. That was the part that kind of bothered me, was that I had these two latches or button things on here that didn't both seem necessary. That's a lot better. And now we can just space this as needed, so we'll put those in last. Oh, and we gotta turn the guides back on, or the bones rather. All right. Okay, good. Now let's get these circles spaced out. Maybe add a couple extra little details to the arrow holder. It is black in the original one, but I don't think I'm gonna do that this time. What else can we do? We'll give these both the leather strap edge. Maybe we could put one of these buttons on this thing, like it's affixing it to the structure. Yep, I like that. For some reason, the line keeps coming out thicker than the others, though. I want it to feel like this button lives above the plane of this other piece. Let's see what we can do with these little edges. This is like part of Heracles' costume. It's a piece that I decided to keep even though it's pretty clear that it's supposed to be like part of the lion pelt or whatever that he's wearing. Just because I think it looks cool. So it could be anything in this one. Just some kind of, raiment. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to have a little bit of a pointier edge to it. I guess now that I'm looking at it, yeah, we should do it without the guide layer because that was kind of screwing us. Let's try and, I guess this section would technically be a little bit larger because it's closer to the camera, even though perspective doesn't really come into play with this kind of artwork, it still sort of does. Like his arms would not be different sizes, for example, even though one's farther away. And the same with the legs. So we just want to make sure the front one is not smaller. Now this is a thing that I wasn't really in love with. Yeah, let's put it in. Why not? It's sort of just like a ruffled under thing that he's wearing. Okie dokie. Now, what do we want? Okay. Okay. Now I guess we just want to get his arms and legs in. So I suppose we can do the leg first. Good. I guess we'll just get the arm and leg in, and then we'll do the patterns on them. The idea with him too that I think is serves our Philoctetes concept design from before is that in the previous image they're getting Philoctetes from the island and he's like totally malnourished and, you know, skeletal looking. And so this is probably, he's one of the only characters in any of our artwork here to be wearing like full clothing and armor. So I figure maybe he still is malnourished, but you just can't really see it because of the way that he's depicted with the clothing on. Because I was concerned of like, you know, since most of the characters are usually naked in this artwork, it's like, well, how did he, you know, he would have to either be like a skeleton on the battlefield, which wouldn't really make any sense, or he would be miraculously fixed, which is also not really, it's not that big of a problem, but I just thought this was an interesting way to, you know, deal with that problem. Let's get his hand. Now's the time when we can do our more intricate stuff with his details. Why doesn't anything erase? Oh, here we go. Okay, now let's go back and do his other arm. Like, it wouldn't really matter if he was muscular in this chapter anyway, because, you know, how does he fight in the first place in this storyline where he like comes back from the brink of death and instantly is able to like turn the tide of the whole thing? So, you know, we don't really need to worry about that, but I just think this is an interesting way to have our own little explanation for it. Good. Now I'll just trace the bow that we had made. This is actually the finished bow from chapter 9. But we don't really want to... I guess we could, you know, photo bash it back in. But we might as well just trace it. Good. So we're gonna have a different challenge when it's time to actually put Eris back into the picture, because this bow and the arm that holds it are positioned right in front of her. So we don't really mind that certain parts of her are getting blocked, because we intentionally didn't really worry about the details in her midsection because we knew that it was going to be blocked by this. But what we don't want to have is for this to kind of get visually lost because it's, you know, all the same color and it's right in front of another character. Because obviously the bow, like, narratively is pretty important in the image, because obviously, like, that's the whole action of the scene, is that he's shooting the bow at Paris. Let's get rid of the guides for this part. Let's get rid of our original underdrawing here. Okay, so we have a outline for Philoctetes. Now we want to do the details of his clothing that he's wearing. And after that, then we have everything for him. Love the look of this half cape that he's got. I think, yeah, he looks really clean. Maybe I'll give him like a leg bracer thing to match his helmet. But I almost like the idea that he like took somebody else's helmet at the last second just to have cover for his head, because it doesn't really match his armor. You know, or this idea that they brought him at the last minute and he didn't have any, you know, the armorer couldn't help him create his armor because he just got there and instantly started fighting, sort of. So he just like, all right, they just gave him a bunch of ragtag items that are thrown together and none of them really match. That is kind of a cool idea, I guess. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for joining, ladies and gents. If you want to see more of the channel, don't forget to hit the follow button. If you want to know more about this project I'm doing these illustrations for, !Troy in the chat. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.